Hello, people. Me again. Another beautiful day. Yep. Hope your five senses work. Health and strength is good. What? Now, well, today's December the 19th. 2023 is up on us. Well, what do we got for you Steam Deck fans? You know the Steam Deck fans. You know, Steam Deck Tribe, Steam Deck Nation, Steam Deck Universe, Steam Deck World, Steam Deck Legion. What's good? Steam Deck Mob. What's up? And the Steam Deck Squad. What's good? So, Valve is really heavily invested in the Steam Deck. That they're paying open source developers. Paying developers to keep the open source software going. Hey, if Microsoft got to do the same thing with Windows to keep it going, hey, you might as well join them, So, hey, keep it going, the more fresh, the more, you got a lot of people that are working on the open source, but the more like fresh minds you bring to it, plus the ones that you already have that's working on it, the better. So this is good news for the Steam Deck and Linux as a whole. Anyway, listen to this. It says more like Black Mesa graphics drivers. Anyway, it says here, the Steam Deck is an incredible bit of hardware, but the software that underpins it is just as impressive. From long-running open source stalwarts like the Mesa graphics driver and the Vulkan API to Valve's own Proton compatibility layer, the deck only runs thanks to a lot of labor by open source developers. Without them, the whole thing is just a big block of plastic. Says here, it turns out that Valve understands that because in a recent chat with The Verge, Steam Deck designer Pierre-Loup Griffius mentioned that the company is paying over 100 open source devs to work on the various bits of software that keeps the Steam Deck ticking. Valve has them working on stuff like Steam for Chrome OS and Linux too. And it says Griffius didn't mention Mac OS though, which makes sense given the way Steam seems to freeze in a panic when I launch it on a MacBook. Anyway, it says here, Griffius says Valve corralling of open source dev is a part of a larger strategy to coordinate all these projects and set up kind of an overall architecture for gaming on Linux. That is to say, Valve is using its technical and financial clout to herd the cats of open source development in a single direction. In order to get Linux functioning as a viable alternative to Windows for PC gaming. Says here, he says, I was surprised when I heard about it. Valve is obviously committed to the Steam Deck, but working with and paying over hundreds of devs to keep it open source, inner chugging along, really puts the commitment into perspective. To people more involved in Linux and open source development, though it was less of a surprise, as various commenters in the Reddit thread attest, Valve has had a hand in incredible amount of open source tech at this point. Even Linux kernel creator Linus Torvalds is on the record saying that Valve would save the Linux desktop, though it's worth noting he was at least a bit ambivalent about that. And then it says here, it's not only the deck related news we heard from Valve recently. We also learned that the company wants to bring back Steam Controller. Also, I have to speak my truth and tell you the Steam Controller was great actually. Then it says, and the deck designer dropped hints about a revised deck with larger battery and better screen. Says here, even if Valve dedication to Linux and open source software is more about having an escape hatch from Windows than staunch dedication to free and open source principles, it's great that so many devs are getting paid for their contribution to the company projects. Truly, 2022 has been the year of Linux on the desktop. And that's the end of the article. Well, in this world of tech, in this world of video games, in this world of computers, you must and will you must be committed and dedicated to this, to video games and computers. It's either you're in or you're out. There's no half-stepping on this. You have to be fully committed. So Valve is taking the necessary steps to make sure that that Linux is alive and well, and making sure that the Steam Deck is up to gaming standards, and keep moving. You have to be committed to this when it comes to video games. There's no half stepping on it. You have to be fully committed. It's either you in or you're out. And it's good to see that the staff at Valve, the entire staff at Valve is fully committed to this. That they're paying open source devs, to keep it going, and the open source devs now are getting their respect. I mean, open source devs are getting their respect for all the work that they put into the tech world, and sometimes companies have a tendency to take things for granted. Valve is putting an end to that. So with so many devs committed to the open source project, and the Linux gaming community, along with the Steam Deck, is alive and well. So they're gonna keep moving with this, but they must be fully committed to this. There's the name of the game is you got to be consistent. In this video game business, you got to be consistent. I remember when I first started talking about the Steam Deck, I was saying that they need to be in the news more, and I guess they heard it. And ever since then, they've been in the news a whole lot. So, because I was saying that video game news is our real estate, and if you're not in the news a lot, then that means it's either you're something is happening behind the scene, or you're looking to go out of business. So you have to stay in the news on a constant basis, and it looked like they were listening. So consistency is the name of the game. You have to maintain your aggressiveness, your speed, and your tempo, in this video game world. So I'm glad to see that Valve is taking the necessary steps to keep the momentum going. And it's good news that they're revising the Steam Deck with a better battery life, better screen, probably better fan noise. Better fan. Probably could go up a little on the RAM a little bit, probably about a gig or two, and just call it, and go on from there. But this was a good move on their part. You have to stay consistent, in this video game world. This video game landscape is very, very competitive, very competitive, and you have to maintain your competitive edge in this market. Of course, they got Half-Life and Left 4 Dead, which they're probably working on. And it's good that they had Steam, the storefront Steam. But once they came out with the Steam Deck, it was all hands on deck now. They know they can't slow down, and they have to with the Steam Deck, they have to raise the bar as far as handhelds is concerned, to let you know that a handheld can perform just as good like a just like a PC, so you play your games on the go. So that was a good move on their part, man. So they needed, it's called, it is called taking the lead, taking the charge in this, and letting the game industry know that you're very serious about what you're doing, and that you're not going to be taking this for like for granted or nothing like this. That you're very serious, and if they keep this up, they will get the results that they're looking for. But this video game industry is very high maintenance, and consistency is the name of the game. So yeah, just like when Xbox, just like when Xbox first came into the game industry, Microsoft, they had to stay consistent. You know, they were always up to something. They were always on the move, and I think Valve, is learning from that. Microsoft. I mean, look where Microsoft came from. Of course, they were making games for PC, like Flight Simulator and stuff like that. But once they came into the console business, they've been consistent. Even when they ran into little problems here and there, from the controller being too big, from the red ring of death. I mean, whatever problems they ran into, they kept moving. So Valve now they have to do the same thing. They have to stay consistent. That's why I'm glad they opened a line of communication with their user base to let them know that they're taking this serious. And you can tell by their number, you can tell by the amount of updates that they're getting, that the Steam Deck has been getting, that they're really serious about this. So now this article took it even deeper now. Open source developers now are getting their respect. And their just due. So it's good that they're taking the lead in this, man. And 2022 was a good year for the Steam Deck. So 2023 they got to keep moving. Keep updating, keep sorting. Keep talking to their user base. And address whatever concerns that is happening. That's all they can do. Is stay consistent in this video game industry. It's all about consistency. That's the name of the game. If you're not consistent, you will not survive in this industry. If you're not consistent, you won't survive. So glad to see that they're taking this serious. Now they got the Steam Deck. Now they know they can't sit on the same type of specs. It's the same type of specs. So they know they're gonna have to raise the bar with the Steam Deck. So, but like they say, only when it's needed. So we'll see when that happens, when the Steam Deck 2 gets here. But they have to stay consistent in this game industry. Stay consistent, and keep the ball moving, so to speak, and they're gonna have to they're gonna have to make a new Left 4 Dead. They're gonna have to make a new Half-Life. They're gonna have to make a new Portal, and whatever new games that they got coming, to keep their fan base intact, keep their fan base happy. So they must stay consistent in this game industry if they want to see success, man. Look at Activision Blizzard, with Call of Duty. Consistency. And that user base was like this. Every time a new Call of Duty comes out, the user base is like this. You know what I'm saying? So you got to stay consistent in this industry if you want success. Anyway, we'll leave this video for y'all to enjoy. Nice talking to you people again. Chris, still Star Wars and Star Trek flag. Dark side. Go. Peace.